Mr. M.P. Narayanan, Mr. S.R. Rao, Padma Shri, Professor Binod C. Menon, Mr. Neeraj Prakash, Mr. Sandeep Bangia, Mr. Ravi Gupta, ladies and gentlemen, listening to speeches is not the best occupation on a cold, wintry and foggy morning. But still, we have to go through some rituals in life. Maybe this is one of them. It gives me immense pleasure to inaugurate the Smart City 2010, organized by eGov, a magazine, in collaboration with the National Institute of Urban Affairs and National Institute of Smart Governance. I'm indeed very happy to learn that the convention has envisaged to bring together the government experts, solution providers, academicians, and practitioners to deliberate upon to devise an integrated urban development approach in the technology paradigm, to identify the ways and means for optimal use of information and communication technology to make our city life more conducive to the desired pace of growth. ICT has revolutionized our day-to-day life and is playing a pivotal role in our present-day life. But it is conspicuous that we shall have to make a great deal of change in ourselves and in our system to take optimum use of ICT as an individual, and more so at the level of the government for the development of the cities. City signifies population, easy access to basic amenities, commerce, culture, aspiration, and prosperity. It also inhibits proper housing, transport facilities, and recreational activities inter alia. With the unprecedented increase in urbanization and the ever-growing demands of the citizen, the very concept of urban planning assumes significance. To make cities better planned, livable, connected, and smarter, citizen-centric, with judicious blend of good governance, the use of information and communication technology is paramount. To take the discourse further on achieving the above-mentioned goals of healthier and wealthier city, there is a need to have a consensus to devise a comprehensive and integrated common approach of governance. In 2001, India, with 286 million population inhabiting in urban areas, was the second largest urban population in the world, and it is being estimated that by 2025, nearly 40% of the population would be urban. Globally, the figures are even more fascinating. As per World Bank estimates, currently half of the global population is residing in urban areas. And in decades to come, 60% of the population would be living in urban areas. Viewing the statistics, a relook on urban development theory is inevitable. Urbanization is often viewed as a negative trend, but in fact, it occurs naturally from individual and corporate efforts to reduce expense in commuting and transportation, while improving opportunities for jobs, education, housing, and transportation. Urbanization as an engine of growth proliferates jobs, socio-economic development, and most importantly, is a tool for poverty alleviation. The key challenges with urbanization are to provide better transportation, integrated public infrastructure, increase human capital, long-term planning, sustainability, citizen centricity, and distribution of equal economic opportunities, and poverty alleviation. As a result of the fast spurt of urban population, the most urban settlements are characterized by shortfalls in housing and water supply, inadequate sewerage, traffic congestion, pollution, poverty, and social unrest, making urban governance a difficult task. Urban local bodies, which are statutorily responsible for provision and maintenance of basic infrastructure and services in cities and towns, are under fiscal stress. At the same time, the ULBs have little discretion over most of the essentials. Thus, equally vital is the need to devolve power to the urban local bodies and local governments to equip and empower them to address the issues in making up of cities a safer and better place to live in. The Jawaharlal Nehru National Urban Renewal Mission, JNNURM, under the Ministry of Urban Development, Government of India, a flagship program, was launched in 2005 with the goal of achieving reforms-driven fast-track and planned development of identified mission cities. The reforms have a sound foundation based on the cornerstones of equity and efficiency. With these guiding principles in mind, the mission attempts to establish an enabling environment for urban transformation through reforms and improvement in regulations, systems and processes, that putting in place mechanisms that will incentivize the flow of investment from both public as well as private sources in urban infrastructure and services, at empowering urban local bodies to undertake the role envisioned for them under the Constitution, and most importantly, safeguarding the interest of the urban poor. 4 years is the launch of the mission. I can confidently say that JNNURM has triggered the process of provision of an enabling environment for the growth of the cities by improving urban governance, augmenting civic infrastructure, and enhancing effective delivery of basic services such as water supply, sewerage, drainage, and solid waste management. Under JNNURM, National Mission Mode project on e-governance in municipalities has also been taken up. It aims at creating economically productive, efficient, equitable and responsive cities in an integrated framework. It focuses on economic and social infrastructure, basic services to urban poor, urban sector reforms and strengthening of municipal governments and their functioning. NMMP envisages covering of all urban local bodies in 35 selected cities spread over 15 states having population of 10 lakhs and above. That is category A and B of the JNNURM scheme. E-governance is one of the mandatory reforms under JNNURM. It is expected to take care of the implementation of minimum 8 basic municipal services stated in the 12th schedule of 74th Constitutional Amendment. In order to adopt the outcome-based approach, Ministry of Urban Development has formulated the service level benchmarks for e-governance. The benchmark defines the measurement of performance indicator in an unambiguous manner for minimum 8 specific service areas. The urban local bodies are to look at this benchmark in service delivery through the e-governance mode. Technological intervention and citizen services delivery. There are some serious challenges which mar the working of municipalities, and that includes manual system of working, lack of transparency and accountability, and high waiting time in availing government services. In coping up with these challenges, e-governance solutions have been increasingly recognized as a panacea by the policymakers, quite visible in the detailed reports and recommendations of JNNURM initiated by the Ministry of Urban Development. Cities are being encouraged to innovate in areas like e-governance, user charges, project management. The ministry is also taking efforts to recognize these efforts and award the cities for their performance. We gave the National Water Awards for cities which have managed their water supply the best. The involvement of private sector in delivery of municipal services shall result in improvement in service delivery and operating efficiency by use of better technology, different method of service delivery. Hence, PPP model could be leveraged for effective implementation and monitoring of the reforms and the projects, ensuring efficient functioning of the government bodies, citizen service delivery, and friendly environment for business. I request all the participants to identify and discuss emerging issues related with governance reforms in municipal areas, highlight cutting-edge technology and integrated application, share expertise in efficiently delivering citizen-centric services, assist in formulation of appropriate strategies and facilitate the development of interdisciplinary approach to ensure good governance. I expect that with the presence of representatives of all stakeholders, this event will broadly facilitate the business process, re-engineering, IT infrastructure, training and capacity building, and we will have a way forward to address many of the important areas like sustainable development, reducing carbon footprint, single window service delivery and all that. Other challenges relate to deficiency in infrastructure and service delivery, water and sanitation, housing, social amenities and financial constraint. Given the size of infrastructure investment required to keep up the urban growth, I sincerely hope that the deliberation would pave the way for better urban governance and improve the delivery of citizen services in real time and at the reduced cost to end users. I am very happy that in the panel today, we have Mr. Narayanan, who was the chairman of the Coal India Public Sector Giant. He is very experienced in running huge public sector. We have Mr. Rao, who as the commissioner for Surat in the 90s played a great role in combating plague in the city, for which he was awarded the Padma Shri by the government of India. He also stood for Surat when the city was plagued by floods. We also have Professor Vinod Menon of the National Disaster Management Authority. He is an expert on the matter of disaster management, and he is in the process of setting up 1 lakh centers for disaster warning on behalf of the Government of India. Major efforts are in the offing throughout the country to improve the e-governance. We have a long way to go, and I'm sure that the conference will find out which are our thrust areas in which we should concentrate. I wish all success to the organizers, and thanks once again for the opportunity given to me to address the seminar on a totally new theme. Thank you, Jai Hind.